From the SOC today, I'm joined by Tim Grossner, Firewall Principal here at Deepwatch. Tim and his team manage firewall infrastructure for many of our customers, as well as partnering with the rest of our disciplines to provide our comprehensive security operations platform for cyber resilient organizations. Tim's here today to talk about remote access and what we've been seeing lately from VPN concentrators under attack. So thank you for spending some time with us today, Tim.
You're welcome. Great to be here.
Thanks. So let's start the conversation with a little history, perhaps a little bit about VPNs, right? They've been the remote access solution of choice for decades now for road warriors, offsite IT support, and other groups. Ever since we gave up on modem banks, really, the VPN has been the technology of choice. Seems like a very foundational technology from a cybersecurity perspective. Why is that view changing now?
Well, I think so many organizations are moving so much of their infrastructure out to the cloud that those traditional VPN connections onto your prem are becoming less and less needed as time goes on.
So fundamentally, though, there's weaknesses with any solution, whether it's a security solution or a business solution, whatever. What is sort of the fundamental weakness of a VPN concentrator or a VPN for remote access?
Well, the fact that it normally sits within your direct environment as opposed to being offsite in the cloud, et cetera, that can cause it can provide you with some challenges that you need to overcome in order to keep it secure.
Okay. So, if we're worried about the fact that this is accessible from the internet, that this is an attractive target, what are some valuable mitigations that can potentially be performed to help protect those? I know there's a number of them, but let's just talk about a couple highlights, perhaps.
Sure. Utilizing your rule set to filter who can connect to the VPN and who can't. That's a big part of it. Being able to, if you don't have any users that are in Russia, China, Iraq, et cetera, you don't need to provide access to that via the rules. You can block access to the VPN from country codes, from regions, et cetera. Applying threat protection also to those, that traffic that's coming into your VPN concentrator or your edge firewall to do VPN is also super important. As we've seen recently, vulnerabilities that pop up with VPN services on firewalls is becoming more common. Also, treat the VPN or treat the firewall itself as a edge device that you need to isolate away from the rest of your network. Don't let its own connections be able to build connections into your infrastructure. It should be just a pass-through device, not a host that users actually come from. Right?
That's a great point. Let's talk about that a little bit more. I mean, I know back when we had discrete VPN appliances, the before times, it was pretty common to put the VPN in its own DMZ, its own demilitarized zone, its own zone that wasn't out of side of the network and wasn't also inside of the network. It was its own little protected bubble. And we would restrict what the appliance could then talk to on its own, like you're saying. Are you suggesting that we need to do that when this is integrated into the firewall as well?
In a way, yes. I mean, the firewall taking over as instead of having a dedicated device for VPN service, a VPN concentrator, if you will, having those services terminate and users hitting the external interface of the firewall means that it should be treated as a device that is in itself walled away from the rest of the network as much as possible. Somebody breaching and taking control of your firewall, just think about what they could potentially reach from that device, right? You have to treat it as a danger zone, from the get-go.
I know here at Deepwatch, we eliminated VPNs, frankly, years ago. We built our infrastructure so that we could eliminate them at the point where we decided they were no longer the right solution for us. What can you tell me about some other remote access solutions that have gained in popularity or may have features and capabilities that help mitigate some of the VPN vulnerability?
Sure. So a lot of organizations are using or moving to a zero trust network access model where it's VPN-less. You don't have a direct connection into the environment. You're basically utilizing mostly a web-based application to do your daily tasks and things like that. And that access is granted on a, need to use basis strictly for you via a authentication system like an Okta or something like that. It doesn't provide a routed connection to your environment, so there's much less direct risk to the rest of your environment from users who are utilizing that system.
So are these zero trust network access solutions, are they the fix, the solution to remote access?
The answer is definitely maybe, right? There's no one size fits all for any of this. Basically, if you have a need to secure, observe, protect all traffic from a remote user, then the traditional client-based VPN is still the way to go. If you just need to give a lone user access to a few applications, ZTNA will more likely be a better fit for you.
Wonderful. So Tim, if I can, sum this up a little bit, traditional VPN concentrators by their nature have to be accepting of inbound connections from the internet. And it's
Yes.
important to remember that there are a number of things we can do, especially with today's next generation firewalls, to restrict in the first place how you have access to those inbound ports. And then maybe even more critically, perhaps, we need to think about the fact that the firewall needs to be then treated, or the VPN concentrator in the firewall needs to be treated as a potentially hostile endpoint that's trying to access things into the environment. And so we need to segment and segregate and prevent the firewall or VPN itself from initiating inbound traffic other than the pass-through traffic from those VPNs. There are other solutions out there. Zero trust network architecture is one of them. Network access is one of them. But they all come with different capabilities and different potential foibles. And so really, to be a cyber resilient environment, you need to pick the right one or the right couple that work for your environment, and you need to rigorously focus on protecting and securing those so that the sorts of attacks that we've seen successful of late are less likely to impact your environment.
Absolutely. Your firewall, your VPN concentrator should be considered part of the attack surface that's exposed and should be treated as such.
Well, Tim, thanks for taking a little time with us today from the SOC.
My pleasure. Thanks, Bill.